What would you do if your hometown was about to be engulfed by lava? This is the terrifying reality facing thousands in Iceland as a fiery tempest brews beneath the surface. Hello, and welcome to Alerts On. In today's video, we'll be diving into the gripping tale of a looming volcanic eruption in Iceland. Get ready for a wild ride as we explore what's happening on the ground and the science behind the rising magma. In the remote reaches of Iceland's southwestern peninsula, the Fagradal volcano is showing signs of an imminent eruption that could devastate the region. Let's set the stage. Just a few days ago, the Earth shuddered under a barrage of around 1,485 earthquakes in only 48 hours. The nearby town of Grindvik, once a thriving community, now stands eerily empty after a hurried evacuation. Over 2,000 temblors in just 2 days signal that magma is building up underground. The continuous quakes portend the forceful ascent of molten rock through subterranean tunnels below the Fagradalsfjall mountain. After the evacuation order, Grindvik has become a ghost town, with over 4,000 former inhabitants fleeing to safety and leaving behind deserted streets and homes. Even the emergency response teams have pulled out, closing off roads leading into the ominous exclusion zone. The urgent evacuation stems from over 800 quakes detected in southwest Iceland, where radar shows magma amassing just 800 meters underground. Evacuees are filled with uncertainty, haunted by memories of the 2010 Eyjafjallajökull eruption, which paralyzed air travel across Europe. Many are left questioning if they'll ever be able to return home. Iceland's top volcanologist emerges as an authoritative voice, accurately predicting the movement of magma and comparing it to past eruptions near Fagradalsfjall. This connection between current seismicity and historical activity around the mountain is raising alarms that a fissure 8 to 12 kilometers long could emerge, devastating the town of Grindavik and its 3,500 residents. That's 1% of Iceland's entire population. So far, the evacuation seems to be proceeding safely, which is a small consolation amidst the chaos. The situation escalates on November 10th as radar reveals magma stealthily maneuvering under evacuated Grindavik. A massive underground dike, expanding exponentially from just 1,500 meters to a staggering 15 kilometers in 2 days, is extending towards the southwest. Although its exact size is uncertain, this mammoth dike likely contains over 20 million cubic meters of searing molten rock. That's a crazy amount of magma. As the dike creeps towards Grindavik, the town finds itself at the center of a volcanic storm. By 7 p.m. local time, the leading edge reaches downtown, prompting officials to order the immediate evacuation of the entire town. Experts worry that in a worst-case scenario, the eruption could totally obliterate Grindavik, with lava flows engulfing buildings and a cinder cone or spatter cone forming right in the middle of town, similar to what happened in the 1973 Eldfell eruption on the Vestmannaeyjar Islands. The shallowest part of the dike is now less than 800 meters, or around 2,600 feet deep, meaning magma could breach the surface at any moment. And to make matters worse, radar shows the dike is extending into the Atlantic Ocean offshore. This raises the risk of a highly explosive Surtsian eruption in the shallow seawater. We could be looking at major air travel disruptions across Europe and the formation of toxic hydrochloric acid. Yikes. Although the most likely eruption site is near the middle of the dike, close to an ancient crater row at Sundhnjúkagigaród, officials aren't taking any chances. A Coast Guard ship has been deployed beyond the potential blast zone offshore as a precaution. Despite the uncertainty around if or when this volcano will blow, the damage has already been done to Grindavik. Numerous buildings, roads and facilities are sustaining damage from extensive cracking, subsidence, and even a structure being sliced in half. This is the sheer power of magma on the move. Stay tuned as we find out if this unrest will culminate in a full-blown eruption. So where do we stand today, November 13th? Well, things aren't looking great as Iceland balances on the edge of disaster. A prominent geologist has emerged to explain the intricacies of a potential blow. Based on seismicity and ground deformation, 3 likely eruption sites have been identified near the Sundenjuka crater Rho, 2.5 kilometers southwest of Grindavik and 650 northeast of town. The fissure system could be anywhere from 600 to 2,000 meters long, and worryingly, it may consolidate down to a single vent over time. Citing a high probability of an eruption within 72 hours, the geologist has ominously marked November 16th as a critical date. The aviation industry is on standby, waiting to see exactly where this volcano erupts. Underwater eruptions can still produce ash, causing moderate disruptions to regional air traffic. But the geologist reassures that the scale should be far smaller than the infamous 2010 and 2011 events that grounded 100,000 flights. This is a small comfort for European travelers. Additionally, the current magma volume makes a catastrophic caldera-forming super eruption highly unlikely. However, an underwater blast could generate deadly hydrochloric acid and violent surges of scalding water. Meanwhile, emotions are running high for residents stranded since Friday night. They face the prospect of losing homes and livelihoods, with some believing they may never return to Grindavik. This is just the latest chapter in the incredible story of Iceland's fiery volcanic forces. Stay curious, and I'll see you in the next video.
Dagar 11. Nóvember, þetta Austurvegurinn í Grindavík. Talsvert mikla skemmtir hér.